played that part.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I needed that so much.
Oh, you're talking about Margot Channing?
Yeah. Yes, I think Margot Channing would have made it
Survived.
maybe without Bette Davis being in love. But she was. George Brent, well, by the time of Dark Victory, for many years I had loved George. And he, at that time, fell in love with me, and I think that affected the performance. Although I'm totally against Actors Studio, I think this is true.
Totally against Actors Studio?
Oh, yes, where you have to really go
You mean
through
the
the whole
method?
thing. Yes, the
Yeah.
method, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
you think if you're an actress, you should be able to do that without all the
Yes,
folderol.
that's right.
Yeah. You also have a wonderful quote in this and that. You said sex is, what'd you say? Sex is God's joke on human beings. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean that the sex part does not last forever. And under the aegis of sex, well, one can do sort of all kinds of mad things with one's life. Although life without it, I think, there's not much point.
Here's a quote. I probably would have had affairs with the men I married and maybe never have married any of them. But that would not do for Bette Davis, would it? She came
Well, had I been brought up in another time and different education about it all, I do think I definitely would never have married Ham. No.
Ham was your first husband?
Yes, we were in prep school together. This was 10 years later. No, I think I would not. I think there's a great possibility that that after an affair with Gary Merrill, I would have married Gary Merrill. We had much in common. New England. I felt he was a very, very good actor. I think actually he and I could have become quite an acting team.
But didn't you go against one rule that you had up until the time you met Gary? Never marry an actor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you see, you shouldn't make those rules.
Never said.
But it took me a lot. It took me a lot of years.
Yeah.
I lived up to that for a lot of years and married just a lot of very nice people from New England. Yes.
Did they have to come from New England?
Well, it's funny, they all did. All. Gary in Connecticut, Bee's father, Long Island, Arthur Farnsworth was Vermont. It's very interesting, actually. I had a real feeling about Yankee people, which I think kind of fooled me a bit, the Yankee thing.
What about your divorces? Were they friendly, unfriendly? And can one have a friendly divorce?
Well, I think if you can have a friendly divorce, why get a divorce? If you're friends, stay married. There's no point to it.
Well, we'll take a pause and we'll continue with our magazine, and we'll see Bette tomorrow, and we'll continue with the men that she did love but didn't marry. The book is entitled This and That. Welcome one of the screen's greatest legends, Miss Bette Davis. Yesterday, before we left, I said we were going to discuss the men that you fell in love with but never married, and you may not have heard this. Just as we went out to commercial, you said the men I should have married.
Yes,
Who
probably
should you...
the ones I should have married.
Really? Let's talk about George Brent, Dark Victory.
Well, George never really asked me to marry him. No, he never did. No, in the long run, I don't think it would have been a good marriage.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I think that was right.
In the book that you talk about a diamond bracelet that he gave you.
Yes.
With a funny, funny line at the end of the comment.
Well, as he presented it to me and put it on my wrist, it was a charm bracelet. He said, I'm so glad you had, and it was all in little diamonds. V-E-T-T-E. And as he put it on, he said, I'm so glad you had such a short name. There were a few little things like that that made me sort of think a little.
Yeah, now, while we're on the subject, I would like to give you this. I understand gardenias are a favorite flower of yours.
Oh, yes.
So would you please take this, and hopefully we can talk about gardenias.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
I love them. I love them. Yeah.
Gardenias have a very special place in the book.
Well, yes, I did talk about them. Did talk about gardenias.
But you never mentioned the guy's name in the book.
No.
Still a
and
secret.
never, and never will I.
Yeah, this was a
Never will I.
very torrid romantic
Yes,
interlude.
I was very much in love with this man.
Yeah, how long did it last?
Oh, I don't really.
6 months?
I don't really remember because he was very, very married.
Yeah.
You know, and that was going to stay. He was no way he was going to get away from his wife, I can assure you. But
Anyway.
never, ever fall in love with a married man. You'll never win. Never. He will always go back home. Also, Christmas comes, there you sit alone.
Mm-hmm.
New Year's, all the holidays. Men do not easily leave, especially families with children.
Now, the reason I wanted to give you the gardenias because in conjunction with this romance, gardenias figured quite heavily. And I think you said in the book...
Yes, my 75th birthday.
Uh-huh.
Yes, there were 75 gardenias floating in the bathtub. And he had sort of my very handsome bathroom, I must say, all set up sort of as a bar with champagne. And that was my birthday party, 75th year.
How long had it been since you had seen him?
Oh, I always kept seeing
Oh,
him.
you did?
Yes, always.
This
Yes.
is quite a mystery. But the thing I wanted to ask you about was that you said in the book that you had, like many men and women, a fantasy, and the fantasy was to cover the bed with gardenias.
Yes. Yes, and my fantasy was... It's interesting today they call them sort of fantasies.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought of them as sort of dreams more. But yes, my fantasy or dream was realized. Yes, he did cover the whole bed one time with gardenias. Yes.
I wonder what the chambermaid thought the next morning.
Well,